2025 Beaver County Capital Improvement Board meeting to order. Auditor Hutchings, roll call, please.
John Marble. Here. Emily Crapo.
Here.
Chris Schweitzer.
Here.
Karen Dyer.
Here.
Tony Brewer.
Here.
Brian Koistra. Brandon Sackman.
Here.
All right, all are present. Any additions or revisions to the agenda? Anybody have anything to add that's not already on the agenda?
Yeah, I want to specify new business 6.2 parking waiver request would be for December 4th and December 5th, and it's open for discussion when we get to that item.
Anything else? Brady emailed us the minutes last night. We'll need a motion to approve those minutes.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Tennille, you're up first.
Good morning. All right, we are reporting on the month of October at the Convention Center. So during the month, we hosted 11 events, which accounted for 24 total event days. Total attendance for the month was almost 3,500, and gross revenue was right around 200, little over 250,000 for the month. So this was an exceptional month for us. You can see on the next page the list of events that we had. We had several multi-day conferences. Association of Illinois Electric Co-op was 3 days. They had a little over 100 people a day. Indiana Primary Healthcare Association was I think there was a 2-day conference instead of a 3-day conference, but they had about 350 people per day. This is the one that I spoke about last month, where they utilized the entire facility. Another one to just point out is the Indiana MPO was a 2-day conference, about 175 people per day. So we had 3 conventions take place this past month. Looking at operations, we had HVAC filters were changed out and coils cleaned by B&S Plumbing. They've been doing this twice a year for us. We've had a really good partnership with them. We did have the parking garage need serviced by TIBA. Our machines weren't recognizing our prox cards, so they quickly sent a tech out and then updated our software, and we were able to get that back and up and running, so we were only down a day. We had grease trap service by A1 Sanitation, and Terrascapes came in and did all of our fall cleanup, cut back plants, and finished winterizing. We did have our overhead door on the back docks fell out of track, so we contacted the original installer who did the doors. They were, I think we called them at like 3:30 in the afternoon, and they were over by 4 o'clock, got it fixed so that we could get our door shut for the evening. Only had one safety incident this past month. We had a big event for Eugene V. Debs, which was about 750 people here for that dinner. We had a guest that drove right through one of our parking arms. So fortunately, we had Terre Haute Police Department was all over outside our building, so they saw it happen. The individual was ticketed, and we'll be getting an invoice over to the prosecutor's office so they can hopefully get restitution for that, so we can get that recovered. On sales and marketing, this past month they contracted 9 events totaling $45,000 in business. We have 39 leads that they're still working on, which is over $500,000 in revenue and 1,600 room nights, and then 9 contracts that are still out. Going through sales and marketing initiatives, I won't go through all of these, but you can kind of see, some of the sales and marketing that's going on, things that we're involved in, some of our posts. We'll skip back to, did put page numbers on here, so we're gonna go to page 10 to the statistics. So for 2025, we still have 23 contracts that from now through the end of the year that are due to be completed. We have a lot of those are December events, holiday parties. We've got about 100 hotel rooms and almost $185 in gross revenue. We've got 1 contract out and then 3 proposals still for the end of the year. And then 2026, you can see where we're sitting right now for 26 definite contracts. We've got 20 of those with over $300,000 in gross revenue, and then all of the tentatives and the contracts that are out right now. So total funnel is a little over 1.2 million with over 3,000 hotel rooms currently. Looking at the stats for 2025, these are year-to-date, so this is basically from January through November. Next month, it'll be, well, January will be completed, and then we'll start over again on these graphs. Are there any questions on any of the stats? I did update, I sent everyone an email when I sent this that had information on the hotel rooms that were questioned last month. And then we did have some pickup for October, so all of these are updated. So you can see, if you move to page 14, you'll see the hotel rooms by month. October was a lot higher than we were originally projecting. And where our numbers come from is from our meeting planners. So when we're booking business, we're asking them if they need hotel rooms. And so that's what we put in our system. And then when our meeting planners are on site, we ask them how many rooms did they have. So they'll give us their best guess on how many rooms that they had. So that's where our hotel room numbers come from. Looking at the economic impact on page 15, for the month of October, the day attendance I have at 2326 because I back out the hotel room nights, knowing that those folks aren't just day attendees. There are people that are staying the night. So the day attendees are being multiplied by the $55, which is the day spend, and then I'm using an average of $159 for the overnight guests. But also knowing that most of these folks, when they're here for multiple days, they're going out. They're having dinner other places, they're going to the bars, they're going to the casino, and so we know that there's a larger spend than just in the hotels. So come January, we will update all of the numbers and then move 2025 impact numbers to the bottom and start over. For the museum, attendance since opening is 15,534. It's probably a little more than that, but this is just what we can track. October numbers were down compared to other months, so I'm not quite sure what the reasoning for less attendees in October is, but we'll still continue to track. Any questions?
I've got one. How did my buddy with the radio players, how did that event go?
So we ended up having a little over 200 folks that attended. He had, with that particular program, West Vigo High, they had about 20 kids that did the music for the program. And so they had a lot of family members that came in and to see the kiddos play. And they did a really great job. So the program was well attended. And then we have the Christmas program that is coming up as well. And our attendance is a little behind. I don't know that it's going to be exactly the same for that. I don't think there's music involved in that one. But we're still pushing for the Christmas program.
What's the date and time of the Christmas program so we can emphasize it to David Kroenke at the Tribune Star to add to his article today?
It is, sorry, we've got it.
Looks like December 9th.
It is December 9th.
Yeah.
December 9th. It is a weekday. So I believe it is kind of like a Christmas mystery thriller type radio broadcast. Are they $10? They're really inexpensive. I think they're $10. And then they're less than 10 for kids.
Should we go to
Sorry, I don't have all that.
terracc.com for more
Correct.
information?
Yes. I can send you a link to all the information. We sell them on Eventbrite, so you can go to Eventbrite and search the convention center and see any programs that we have ticket sales out for. And New Year's is also on sale as well.
Any other questions for Tennille? All right, thank you,
Okay,
Tennille.
thank you.
Kyle from Baker Tilly, if you're still on there, you're up.
Hi, this is Kyle Carlson with Baker Tilly. Thanks for having me on this morning. As usual, we can jump in and talk a little bit about the cash flow that was circulated on Monday. I will summarize food and beverage revenues, give a cash balance update, and talk about any material changes that we made to the cash flow month to month. The November food and beverage distribution was $280,000 compared to $278,000 in November of 2024. there is a 3.4% growth through 11 months of distributions in 2025 compared to 2024. Looking at October expenditures, you'll notice the miscellaneous line is a little higher than normal. There were some insurance premiums that were paid, so I just definitely wanted to point that out. And then the cash balance at the end of October is about just over 4.9 million, but this balance will be dropping with the upcoming bond payment at the end of the year and other expenditure items on the cash flow, including the art space ready match and potentially theater capital. We really didn't make any material changes to the cash flow, but we will need to move the placeholder for theater capital out past November of 2025.
Kyle, go ahead and move that placeholder to March, April, May 2026 for the time being.
Okay.
And then, Tennille, I'll probably need to chat with you offline about the capital expense plan for 2026, because there's an opportunity to potentially do not an in-series transfer, that's the city-county term, but a transfer between capital expense and theater capital expense to potentially use currently budgeted funds for the theater to not use our available cash. I think we could explore that as well. I'll get with you in December and we can kind of go through that.
All right, any questions for Kyle? Or Mayor, you have anything to add?
One note that Kyle and I discussed via email. So 3.4% is the year-over-year food and beverage income tax, food and beverage tax, not food and beverage income tax. But 3.4% is that yearly growth right now that we've seen thus far. It is not going to change our 2026 projections. We still, want to remain relatively flat with that, so we're not ever over budgeting. But outside of that, we'll continue to look at the timing of that roof in conversation with the CIB president.
Anything else? All right. Eddie, any updates on legal matters? Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
No, I don't have anything other than the next item.
Well, John, you want to talk about the Larry Bird Museum graphics, or who wants to lead that conversation?
Yes. I think today I invited Mark Modersky, our museum representative, to come up and give you a little synopsis of what's been going on in the past several weeks and what's been going on with the graphics themselves. Mark, if you'd want to come up and give us your thoughts.
Sure. Do you have that other material sample?
Yes, I do.
Okay, great. Has everybody visited the Larry Bird Museum a couple of times?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everybody's been there. So my job with the CIB was to help them first find a few design firms that could be reviewed to bring the story of Larry Bird to a physical situation in a museum. And we found Hilferty exhibits in Athens, Ohio. So they did the exhibit planning, and then the next step is the whole fabrication and installation work. So we looked at a few different firms, and we selected Ravenswood, big shop in Chicago, to do all the fixtures that you see in there, graphics up on the walls. Showcases were purchased by them, selected and purchased by them with our involvement. And we had a 1-year warranty on the whole works. And Tennille and John started noticing some delamination of the graphics at about 11 months. It was, I think, the end of May, museum opened, 24. So we're trying to figure out what's going on. You look up, especially on the big jump graphic, see bubbles in it, you can catch reflection on it. So the graphics are coming off of the backer. And this is just kind of a rough idea of what this material looks like that they used. Medium density fiberboard is the backer, and then they adhere the graphics to the front. So that's what you see when you walk around the museum. In some cases, not all of them, the big graphics up on the walls are actually stretched around a frame. They're more of a fabric type graphic. So the bubbles are occurring. Tennille, jump in anytime if you want. Bubbles are occurring, but they seem to come and go with the seasons perhaps, although we don't have a great track record yet. So one might think temperature, humidity, different kind of circumstances with how the graphics were adhered to the MDF, medium density fiber board. So we engaged with Ravenswood, the contractor, and tried to execute the warranty, come and take a look and fix this, because it's a problem. And in this business, just like any other kind of product, you see it happening somewhere. It's going to happen more over time. It's going to get worse. So take care of it while you're under warranty. Ravenswood was resistant to making the gross repairs, like especially the jump graphic. It's a really big piece. It's like 130 tall and about 60 inches wide. So many square feet of graphics and a lot of work, as we'll see, to remove and replace. So the argument came in, whose fault is this? What happened? And I think there's a strong possibility that the panels, the MDF, you buy this from, I talked to a shop in Washington State that makes this MDF. It's made in a factory. It's shipped out. The guy said that it had about a 3% potential dimensional change if it went through extremes of humidity. This is the manufacturer I'm talking to. So a 100-inch panel could move, 0.3% could move maybe a quarter of an inch or something like that. But that movement, if the panel expands, the graphic isn't going to expand. So you break the contact, you break the adhesive at that point, and there's no fixing it. So the weird part about it was that with how was it, Tennille? Seasonally, when humid weather came back, the bubbles went away.
Yes, so
Right.
during the winter time, the bubbles came back, and then during the summer, when we turned the air on, they started to go away.
Right. So every showcase in the museum has monitors in it for humidity and temperature, because it's mostly Larry Bird's personal items that are in those showcases, highly valuable, as we found out with some appraisal work. So that was our focus, was to understand the climate of those cases. If you understand, the nature of a showcase, it's got a little bit of ventilation in it. It's not a sealed chamber. So we felt there was some air exchange with the room. So anything that those monitors in the showcases were telling us was probably roughly indicative of what's going on in the room. So there were some humidity spikes, but if you're a woodworker like me, you know that it takes more than a day or two of a high humidity situation to change the dimension of a piece of wood. You might have furniture in your house that comes and goes in the winter. Those are weeks, months of humidity change that cause those dimensional changes. So we weren't getting anywhere with the graphics company, Ravenswood. So we have set about finding out what the damages are, working with some contractors who do this type of product, make this type of product. We went back to Hilferty and we asked them about a better quality material. And this piece here is referred to as a phenolic, Phenolic. And if you look in the on any websites that promote this kind of product, Phenolic Exhibit Graphics or whatever, this stuff has a 10-year warranty, and they use it outdoors in parks and such. It's, it's walking signage, and it's very durable material. This would go to pieces in less than a year in an outdoor situation. So working with Hilferty, we got to a firm that makes good quality phenolics, and we got a price on manufacturing the 4 panels that are in most critical condition, we feel, over time. And we talked to another firm in Indy. This material, these graphic panels, have been made in Texas, unfortunately. And there's a firm in Indianapolis that would remove the panels that are defective and put up the new ones. The panel manufacturer is about $8,800 shipped to our site, and installation from the one company we have a quote from so far is about $8,100. So one could say our damages, our problem is, you know, sub $20,000, $17,000, $18,000 is what we're probably looking at. And that would take care of these panels, which appear to be the only ones problematic. Also in our investigation, I forgot to mention, the graphics on this kind of material, you manufacture the graphic material, it's very thin, maybe 50, 60 thousandths inch thick. Then you run it through a machine with rollers and adhere the graphics to the medium density fiberboard. In our investigation with Ravenswood, there was just kind of a casual mention. We use heated rollers to adhere the graphic to the MDF. My exploration with the companies that make the graphic adhesives say no heat, don't use any heat. It says in their literature, the guy verbalized that to me on the phone, don't use any heat. So it's possible that Ravenswood's use of heat is what caused the problem, especially with the jump graphic. The damage, the delamination's up high. If you can imagine heated rollers, you're running a 10-foot, 12-foot panel through. Some of the heat is shed from the rollers into this panel going through. The rollers become cooler as you get to the bottom. So you've wrecked adhesive on entry, but there's some recovery as you finish the panels path through the rollers. So somewhere between selecting the MDF and using heat, we think Ravenswood's at fault and should be doing this repair work for us. Any questions?
I do have one question.
Sure.
So it's come to light that these could have been doomed from the start. It might not be the community and the building, but actually just the construction of the signs itself could have been done incorrectly, which is causing all the problems.
You are correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think there's 2 items I think the board needs to consider. First of all, whether or not we're going to authorize the new panels to be installed, if we want to do that this year or next year, or how we want to go about doing that. And then number 2, we've talked about it for a couple of months now, but I think we're at a point where I can send a demand letter to Ravenswood based upon approximately $20,000 in damages at this point to get the discussion going with them to see if they're willing to correct their mistake. So I'd ask for authorization to send a demand letter to Ravenswood, and then I'd ask that you all consider whether or not you're going to move forward with the repair.
So as we look at the cost of the repair, we can go ahead and let's just round to 20,000 to make this simple. The next question will be, there is 57,000 available for capital expenses. Is there a large need of that from the convention center for that building? And then if not, then that's where that could be pulled from. So that way it would have no impact on the available cash balance within the CIB.
This year for capital, no, I think we have everything turned in, but just working on the capital plan for next year. Yeah.
So my recommendation would be that they would need to, we would need to get the total amount of quotes that we need to get. Once we have that, we should authorize the president of the board the ability to select the lowest bidder and do that process. And then we get the invoices this year so we can try to pay them this year. And if not, at least we have the invoices to encumber it from this year's capital expenses, so it's not affecting available cash.
So one thing on that, we're under our 50,000, so we don't necessarily have to. Mark, do we think anybody else, I mean, these are our people, right? Or do we think there's another option that may be cheaper?
I feel good about them, but I did not shop it. I was trying to get, ballpark price. Frankly, I think the installation, removal and installation price seems like a lot of money, but I did not shop them.
So how difficult would it be to get an additional quote?
It'd be not too difficult. It'd be pretty good. Yeah, I went to these guys in Indianapolis. They worked on the Indy Motor Speedway Museum and the History Museum in Indy, so I felt they had, the credibility and the skills to do a good job. That's where I started.
So I'd say if we could ask Mark to get one more quote and then authorize President Schweitzer to execute the contract then upon whichever one's lowest and based upon Mark's recommendation.
For what it's worth, we were talking about probably a January installation, right? And there's a 5-week lead on production of the graphics, so we'd get through the holidays and then tear things up.
Do you still want to take action on the demand letter?
You could do it all at once unless there's a reason why, or if you don't want to do it now.
I mean, yeah, so then in that way it would be, I make a motion for the CIB to authorize Attorney Felling to issue a demand letter to Ravenswood, as well as Mark and Chris to get the additional quote and then choose the lowest of the two quotes for installation and simultaneously approve the $8,800 needed for the actual physical panels themselves.
Motion's on the floor. Is there a second? Any other questions? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. All right. Thank you.
Mark's been pivotal in explaining this process. He knows his stuff when it comes to medium density laminate. I don't know, but he's done a good job of explaining to everybody how the process plays out. So
Great.
thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Karen, I believe you're up next on this Indiana Theater Fund.
So we were approached by the Crosby Players to do some fundraising for the Indiana Theater, and they wanted to give some money to the Community Foundation for the theater. So we received a fiscal sponsorship proposal from the Indiana Theater a while back, and so we've considered it. We've been looking at it. I think, Chris, you were originally the first one that they talked to.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie and I have looked at it, and Chris has looked at it. We see no reason not to proceed. It would be money that others would donate for the project and would be held by the Community Foundation. We wouldn't have to put any money in it. There is a fee associated with that, which is not spelled out in the sponsorship agreement, but I think what we're looking for is permission to proceed with the agreement. The fee would come from any proceeds of earnings of money on the gifts that are given. Questions?
Any questions? Entertain a motion to approve.
And sorry if I may, and I'd ask that specifically not approve to move forward with establishing the fund, but then authorize Karen to execute those documents.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Karen's in charge.
Okay. All
Was
right.
there-
So do we need a motion? Second for this? Okay. I make a motion. Can I make a motion?
Yeah.
I make a motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Good job, Karen. Thank you for following up on that. All right, Mayor, you want to talk about 6.2?
Yeah, so the Miracle Parade Group, they do a Christmas event. This year it's at Holman Center. They did approach us to request that we waive parking in the CVB's parking garage. However, since we've had that conversation, it's been identified that we do have multiple events at the convention center who have paid for parking and need to have their parking spots that they've paid for. So my recommendation is that we not take action on this item. Simply because we have groups that have paid to utilize the parking garage. And instead, I'll reach out and contact Indiana State because they've got a parking garage next door and have a conversation with them about hopefully opening it up for this community event.
Understood.
So no action would be needed. And then the second thing, I forgot to add this under new business, and I apologize, but if we could add a 6.3, an update from incoming executive director. Anthony Dinkle or AJ Dinkle, who's here to represent the SWOPE on their project. If we could just get a quick update on that.
Good morning. As you'll probably recall, Fred Nation was here in September and requested $250,000 from the CIB towards our capital campaign. To date, we've raised $6.7 million towards this campaign, and we're currently wrapping up the second phase of construction. Hanig Construction's been our partner with their subcontractors using union labor largely on this project. Lots of work has been done. The elevator shaft is in, the elevator's been installed, it's just awaiting final control installation. Drywall is going up, so it's really starting to come together. We expect this second phase of construction to wrap up at the end of December, and that's when we will begin moving our art collection storage from its temporary storage to its new home on the first floor. Since Fred was here in September, we've had conversations with the mayor and Jordan Marvel at Redevelopment about opportunities with a facade grant, and we're pursuing that, and we think we're in a good shape to receive $40,000 from those grants. So I'm here today to present a revised request, which you should have before you, in the amount of $150,000 rather than $250,000. Our current shortfall is about $225,000 towards this last phase of the campaign for phase 2 to finish up construction. We're confident between the $150,000 if we receive it from the CIB, the facade grant, and then some outstanding asks we have from our donors that we can close that gap. I'm happy to answer any questions.
It's up to the desire of the board to allocate funds or, take this request and table it into January of next year.
Yeah, so right off the bat, my recommendation is to table this request as treasurer of the CIB for a couple of reasons. So basically, as we just kind of went through this conversation with the museum and using already budgeted funds, how it stands, how I'm kind of reading the tea leaves here, it looks like we have $37,000 in capital expenses that have already been budgeted for, but we don't have a project with. So theoretically, you could access that bucket as a board. However, 37 is significantly less than 150. So what I would like to do is see how we end the year, look at our actual cost for professional services, miscellaneous expenses, of course, maintenance, theater utility costs, and then try to find a way to add that to the 37. So that way, the request in January will be, we are requesting the budgeted funds from 2025 that we did not need to utilize as a board, so it does not affect the overall cash balance of the CIB. Essentially, it's like, hey, we pulled in extra, we spent a little bit less, and this is that delta amount, so that way we're not touching the cash balance. And the reason why I strongly suggest that this board not accept any project that lowers the available cash for the CIB is, as you all know, we have the theater conversation that we are making some updates to. I know Commissioner Schweitzer has been working on that roof contract, but coming out of the roof contract with the new, with some of the changes on the board next year, we really want to refocus the conversation on the theater and what we're able to do with that. There are some private foundation grants coming online. I have been working with legal counsel as well as our consultant on the RFP for private management and should have an update probably by February on that. I just don't feel like, we can approve $150,000 today. If it is if it's a construction conversation, I do feel comfortable approving a $37,000 request today and think that will not have impact on the available cash. So if it's needed just based off the timing of construction, we could do that today, but anything above that, I'm not comfortable suggesting to the board as treasurer.
Questions, comments, thoughts?
Oh, anything will help, of course. Right now we've got our current bill with Hanig that's due. We've got one more bill coming we expect next month, so that's why we're trying to wrap this up all in this fiscal year. But I appreciate the mayor's point and understand from a municipal perspective why 150 may not be permissible today. So if we could, I mean, if it's agreeable to the board to approve 37,000 today, and then us come back for the remainder next month, we'd be agreeable to that.
Mayor, I have just taken a couple of tours of the Indiana Theater just to see the state of it, and I think there are some things we should address that have to do with safety. So I do think that we need to allocate a little bit of that money to improve some of the safety, including like broken glass and some other things that it might encourage further damage to the building that I would like to talk about doing with some of that money as we consider this, what we should do.
Would you be open to, once I get the capital plan for the convention center in December and evaluating their $217,000 line item, finding a delta there, would you be open to, not necessarily that conversation, but that funding decision to happen in January as well?
Sure. I just think some of the broken glass and some of the things we've been dealing with continue to encourage further damage. So if we can address some of that, it might help. So.
Do we have an estimate on what that looks like?
I don't know. No, not confidently. I can't give you a number. I mean, we had the break-in by the juveniles. They broke some glass and some door handles, and there's ultimately never mind. I'm not gonna say anything publicly, but there's security issues there.
I agree with your original proposal of let's evaluate it in its entirety after the first of the year. I think that's the most prudent approach.
And then, so I'll look to send a closeout email, probably, and I know everyone hates this week, but I know you will all be actively checking your email. The week between Christmas and New Year's Day is when I'll be able to really get the numbers like complete, firm, and finalized. I'll just pull the latest expense reports, and I can do that electronically with Baker Tilly, and I'll probably call Tammy just once, I promise. And then I'll send that number to this board early January so we can get it on our January agenda.
Okay, so no action today on anything? Just
No action today. We'll review how we end this year and the capital plan for the convention center, and then from there come up with our SWOPE request while also looking at this conversation for the theater.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, let's, in other business here, let's talk about 7.2 first. In the last 2 years, we have not had a December meeting. We've canceled it because a lot of people are traveling. I will not be here on the 17th. I don't know about any of you, but we're welcome. You guys are still welcome to have a meeting on the 17th if there's going to be a quorum. So can you guys look at your calendars and see if there's going to be enough people here for a meeting?
Actually, we should do that because I think with Kyle and I, we could get all of this done by December 17th to have a. Do you feel like we can get the capital costs done in the convention center? Okay. Then I would say, hey, could we check calendars? Because as long as we have a quorum, I think we could do this.
John, can you be here on the 17th? Emily? Mr. Brewer?
Yes.
Good? Brian? Okay. Just me, sorry. I'll be traveling. Okay, so questions and comments from CIB board members. I want to tell you all so much. I have appreciated the opportunity of being president of this board since I won't be here next month. This is my last board meeting. I'm not going to ask Mike or Mark to reappoint me to this board any longer. The county's commitment to the convention center via an interlocal agreement ends in 2026. We fronted $10 million up front to build the convention center, and our last payment as a part of that interlocal agreement ends next year. So I think as a county commissioner, in my perspective, I have played a role, and the commissioners have played a role in this board, but I don't think that role is as significant as it once was. So we would like to appoint, just a regular business leader, community leader, or somebody to the board for next year. So this will be my last meeting. So I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity. I can tell you whoever the next president's going to be, John can attest to this. It is a 2-day-a-week job, depending on the projects. It's a lot of work. Tammy is your heart and soul of this board on getting things paid and accomplished and across the finish line and getting that stuff to the auditor's office for payment, so keep that in mind in 2026. Any other questions or comments from the CIB? Everybody's good on the 17th. You guys will be here and I will be not, so. All right, cool. Yep. Is there a second? All in favor? Aye.